Welcome to this video. In this video, let's discuss how we can create a database. It's the first step before you move into the world of managing data using some sort of database or creating logical tables, joining them and retrieving useful data. But before that, let's understand a few basic concepts of database. So database, when you create, it creates two files. One is MDF file, which is master data file, and second is LDF file, which is log data file. So what's the importance of log data file? Log data file helps you to retrieve the database if some point in time it gets corrupted. Sorry. So it's very important to create log database file if you're creating manually. If you're using the graphic user interface, then it will create automatically. And yes, remember that in SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, you can create database using two methods. First, using graphical user interface, where you can just use a window to create a database. And second, using query, you can create the database. In this video, we would see how we can use both the method to create a database. Okay, so let's start. So once we are here in the management studio, SQL Server Management Studio, I will come to this database. Okay, and you could see that's something we have known as system database, and there are few databases which Adventure Work, Blue Buffalo, etc. So system database is actually predefined database which is already created in your system when SQL Server get installed in your system. Those system database helps SQL Server to manage all the database in your system. So that we cannot do much. So just keep it aside. These are user-defined databases where a user can create a database and play around with the data. So us being the user, we would create a user-defined database. Okay. So how to create a user-defined database using the window? Just right-click on this, create a new database. Okay. So this window will open. Just database name, type tutorial01. Okay, and you could see that automatically the MDF or the master database file as well as tutorial.log database file gets created. This is the primary, this is the log file, and this is getting saved in this particular location. This is the predefined or default location where the database should get saved. This is the folder within the database folder in the program files, and then you can just save it and it will act in a proper way. However, it's not restricted that you have to save the files or database in this location only. When we create the database using query, we would see how we can change the path. Here also you can change the path by clicking on this and direct it to wherever you want to select or you want to save that database. But let's concentrate on just simply using the window to save a database. Okay, so right now tutorial 1 we would create and we'll press OK and it got created. Okay, now let's create a folder, sorry, a database in a specific folder where we want to save it. Okay, so I will just quickly show where I want to save it. So this is the window and I want to save the video database under this tutorial folder, which is like c.tutorial. Okay, I will copy this, keep it handy. Okay, now let's come here and start creating a database in query language. So this create statement or create function creates all important stuff like create database, create tables, create triggers. Okay, so which we would say see in our future videos. So right now let's create a database and the name would be tutorial. Okay, this is my database name on where I have to save, and the logical name would be tutorial underscore dat. So this is my logical name, and file name would be, which I copied here, tutorial dot mdf. Okay, so in this location we want to save this database tutorial, and then we would mention the size means what is the initial database size. So 10 means 10 MB. Okay, so 10 MB size, and then max size equals to 100 MB. Or rather, if you mentioned your 100 MB, so it will extend or it will grow till 100 MB, and then it will give you an error message stating that you have crossed the limit. So if you don't want to have that kind of limit, you can just mention as unlimited. Okay, so right now I don't want to do unlimited, because if you do unlimited, it will grow till it reaches the physical memory which is present in your system where this SQL server or this database is handled. Okay, so that I want to specify as 100 MB, and file growth would be 5 MB. Now, what do you mean by file growth? It's the additional portion which you keep reserved. If it reaches the limit, it can grow till another 5 MB. Okay, so this is the intent. So once we do on this, we'll come and create the log file I want to create. And let me copy paste this entirely, because this stuff we would require. We can change it as per our requirement. Okay, so tutorial dot log, and this I will make it as sorry, LDF log database file. Max the initial size should be 40, because it should be more, because it needs to save all the architecture of the database, and which helps you to retrieve the data when you get corrupted with the raw database. Okay, so 100, and let it grow another 10 MB. Okay, so once we are done with this, I'll press this. So before we proceed and create this database, I will like to show you one small thing, that if you miss any of the comma, it will give you a small arrow or some small underlying stuff which will show you error message stating the incorrect syntax near this, and again here. So if you find this kind of stuff, just check if you're missing some parentheses, some marks which you should be keying in that statement. So right now I could see that I have missed this. So I simply, if I click on this comma, then everything would get rectified automatically. Once you have this kind of format, it says that your code is ready to get executed, and it will work perfectly fine. So once we are done with this, come here and click execute. Okay, invalid usage of create alter create. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Is giving that incorrect usage of the option max size. Now you could see that it's misspelled here, so that's why it's giving a name as stating that its statement is wrong. So it's actually not, it's typo error, sorry for that, and max. Okay, and then if you get this kind of error, don't get panicked, just understand and try to read through the error message, and it will definitely give you the idea that where you are messing it up. And definitely if you are typing, it tends to have some typo errors. Okay, okay, now let's execute it. Fine, the command is completed and it's database is saved. Now let's check. Okay, now see, in tutorial we have tutorial.ldf and tutorial.mdf file created. So with this step, and you could see that we have mentioned 40 MB for the LDF file and 10 MB for the tutorial file. So both the files with the specific file size are present in that folder. Okay, so with this, I guess we are quite good to go with this. And oh, one more thing, I will show you the tutorial in this particular window. If you click on this, oh, okay, so this tutorial appears. Now, with a small step, let me show you how we can delete a table, a database. So right now we have created tutorial.1. So I don't want this because I would be using this tutorial as our main database going forward. So I want to delete this. Come and just click on delete and it will get deleted. So with this, we have covered how we can create a database using the graphic user interface as well as using query, how we can delete it. And one more thing, let me show you how we can rename it. Just click on this and rename it to whatever you feel like. I don't want to rename it. I want to keep it as it is. So I'm just keeping it like this. If you want to rename it in future, definitely you can go ahead and do it using that option. Thank you for watching this video.